Hello, welcome to this your channel of the better Eurofan, that's me. When it seemed that Malta were improving their results in the competition, the country has suffered another flop again in the last edition. The proposal presented by Busker has not convinced to the audience, and therefore being eliminated in the semi-final. In the meanwhile, we will check out now the bet made by the Mediterranean country for the next artist, who had the chance to travel to Liverpool. Let's go! For today's episode, I'm going to review the Maltese entry for Eurovision 2023, which has been represented by the group Busker with the song Dance Our Own Party. First of all, let's take a look at the biography and career of these guys prior to their journey to the contest. The Busker is a Maltese indie pop group formed in 2012. Initially, the band was a Busker duo, with a vocalist and guitarist and a percussionist, who were playing by the streets all over the island. From that coming the group's name, they have commented that the name is an ode to the Buskers, that make other people happy and unites them with their music. 2 years later, they become a quartet, with the addition of 2 new members, a bassist and a saxophonist. They have 2 studio albums and an EP to date, as digital downloads not being available in physical format. In 2020, another vocalist and guitarist will join the group, while the founder vocalist and the bassist will leave the band sometime later, remaining the current trio. Talking about this lineup, they are currently formed by vocalist and guitarist David Bailak, drummer Jan-Paul Borg, and saxophonist Sean Mission. Artistically speaking, they have commented that their music has a little of soul, a little of pop, and a little of funk, taking the musical roots of each one and combining them to form their signature sound. While their musical style takes inspiration from many British bands from the 1960s, like the Beatles and the Beach Boys. In addition to that, all of them are Eurovision fans themselves since they were kids, being the Maltese national final and the contest an annual tradition. And of course, they have dreamed with the idea of representing their country at Eurovision. Let's check out how begins their road to the contest. The Maltese public broadcaster will organize another edition of their national final Malta Eurovision Song Contest on its 11th edition, to select both the artist and the song that will represent the Mediterranean country on the United Kingdom. Unlike the last edition, where the artist was picked through the national final, but the song was later internally selected. In mid-October of last year, the submission period was open for the Maltese artists and songwriters who wanted to participate in the national final, closing it by the end of that same month. Then later in mid-November, the broadcaster announced that it will be 40 contestants, which were going to take part in the competition, being the guys from the Busker among the chosen ones. The increase on the number of contestants will eventually imply to modify the format, where 3 quarterfinals will be incorporated, the semifinals will be reduced to 1, and the final show will remain the same. In this sense, they will be allocated in the quarterfinals, with 26 contestants in 2 of them, 13 in each one of these 2, and the remaining 14 contestants in the remaining quarterfinal, which will be broadcasted all of them in last January, fighting for 24 spots in the semifinal. Then in the semifinal air on early last February, 16 contestants will progress to the final show. Another important change was that there will be monetary prizes for all the finalists, being quite high for the first 3 places. In all the shows, both the qualifiers and the winner will be decided with a combination of the votes for both the jury and the public. The guys from the Busker will make it their first appearance in the second quarterfinal, from where they will advance to the semifinal, and then later they will get a spot as a finalist in the final show. During the final show broadcasted in last mid-February, the voting results determined that the band was the absolute favorite from the public, while it was the second most voted artist from the jury, gaining the score needed to get the victory in the national final, then fulfilling the dream of representing Malta on the main stage of Liverpool. a track which, like its name says very well, invites to dance. Now here comes the analysis according to what they have presented in their proposal. The melody in this case is a funk track blended with pop and jazz. Being true to the musical style the group has developed in their musical career, which reminds a little to the classic 80s tunes. The sax parts from Sean are remarkable, which obviously reminds to some sax performers who have been previously in the contest, more recently to Danish Roshings from the Latvian band Citizeni, as well as Sergei Stepanov, the epic sax guy from the Moldovan duo Songstruck project. David's voice as the band's vocalist is fine, taking into account that these kind of songs do not need a vocal extravaganza. The lyrics have been written by David, while the melody has been composed by all of them. According to some interviews, the song talks about social anxiety, which has surfaced mostly during the COVID-19 pandemic, where they have committed to feel more comfortable with themselves, surrounded by their beloved ones since then, instead of being at a party with a lot of people. Reading the lyrics in detail, it addresses an anxiety episode happening at the party, deciding then to leave it to set another one of their own at home. More than a message, the song intends to be a relief for those who are still suffering of anxiety from the crowds, aiming to the listener to feel as comfortable and calm as possible. Having reviewed the song, now I'm going to analyze the official music video released for this proposal. Plot begins at a party where there are many people having fun and dancing, and also David is there while he starts to perform the first verse. In some moment he looks uncomfortable being there, and he covers his head with his sweater, getting inside of it, recreating a sort of tunnel full of pieces of fabric. This somehow represents that social anxiety episode, who makes a person wanting to escape from that. During the pre-chorus and the chorus, there are alternate shots of them sitting in a small pool of balls, of individual shots of them joined by a group of female classic dancers in a ballroom, and the three of them in a terrace, joined by senior people wearing cowboy outfits, moving or dancing to the rhythm of the song in all the scenes. With the second verse there are some funny shots, with them simulating being babies on strollers, as well as senior men in a senior residency. There is a moment when one of the residency workers take from them some dolls with the faces of them to put them in the washing machine. During the second chorus, the same alternative scenes are still seen, and then during the instrumental bridge, you can see that the washing machine is starting to shake a lot, while there are some shots of them, with the dolls with the faces of them coming to life inside of the washing machine, with many dark sequins both in the walls of the washing machine and in their outfits. Just before the last chorus, the three of them wake up suddenly in a sort of a container, where there is a big sofa with a lot of clothes on it and about themselves. I can understand all those shows as the concept of the intimate party, alleging to the song's title from the perspectives of each one of them. The same alternating scenes continue throughout the chorus, with extra shots of them doing an energetic performance inside the container, finishing the performance. Making a summary of the comments, the Maltese entry for this year is very enjoyable and dynamic. It is a proposal which makes you dance and enjoy one way or another, despite the serious topic on it, having the challenge of making the rest of Europe to dance with them, recalling the staging in the national final. It's outstanding the 80s aesthetic in the visual graphics during all the performance, which has been divided in various acts, and the costumes they wear are exactly the same they will be worn in the music video. In the first act with the party, David is seen performing the first verse surrounded by cardboard figures of many of previous Maltese Eurovision contestants, where stands out the one by Destiny Chukunjere. Then later there is a bench where Sean and John Paul are seated. The three of them dance to the rhythm of the music for a brief instant, later moving on to the center of the stage by the chorus. In the second act, the way home, they look seated in car seats, simulating they are driving to the house of one of them. They later moved to a sofa, dancing to the rhythm of the music for a brief instant, and later moving on again to the center of the stage by the chorus. In the third act, the intimate party, David goes to the front of the stage to take off the colorful sweater to reveal the sequin sweater. Then Sean and Jean-Paul do the same, while David gets back to the center of the stage with them. From here, the attitude of them is more energetic, witnessing yellow and purple spotlights until the end of the performance. The truth is that it was an interesting and enjoyable staging. I guess they have conceived it thinking on how it will look on television. It is also remarkable that the danceable energy from there was very contagious, so it was thought that they could have many possibilities of having a spot in the final. For the staging in Liverpool, they had replicated exactly the same one from the national final, judging by what it could be seen during the rehearsals, although with some improvements. In fact, watching their live performance in the first semi-final, there were some additional elements. In the first act, when they are sitting on the bench, there is a sign with two directions, one pointing to Valletta, the country's capital, and one pointing to Switzerland. That was funny indeed, and also appropriate for the performance. In the second act, when they are in the car seats, the bonnet of the car of 70s style was also seen, with the name of the band in front of it. And in the third act, Sean and Jean-Paul wore the same sequin sweaters matching with the one of David's. The energy and charisma from them were not missed, in a performance that looked pretty sharp and well done. However, the surprise will be enormous with the counting of the votes, receiving only 3 points, discarding any possibility of qualifying into the grand final. The result represents the second consecutive flop for Malta, although this time it has been totally unfair in my opinion, because they really deserve to be in the grand final. However, it is also good to remark that they were drawn to compete in a very complicated semi-final, with many of the favorites performing that same night. But well, those were the results. After their journey to the contest, it is not clear which will be the next steps for the band, although on the other hand it was known weeks before the contest that a songwriting camp will take place this June to create the potential entries for next year's national final organized by the broadcaster, which is working already on the preparations for the next edition. And you, what do you think about the Maltese entry for this year? Leave your comments down below to start the discussion. And this is it for today's episode. Don't forget to like this video, as well as you can subscribe to my channel, enable notifications for the upcoming reviews, and also you can find me through my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.